Have you ever seen a man stop an angry bull with his bare hands? Or another who held back two speeding horses pulling in opposite directions? How about lifting an elephant, not on wires or tricks, but with raw, brutal strength? As unbelievable as that sounds, these aren't legends from folklore. They were real men, with strength that shouldn't have been possible. Today we're counting down 15 of the strongest men in history. We're talking about guys who could crack coconuts with their palms, snap steel like twigs, and carry logs the size of cars up mountains. Let's start off with number 15, Marius Pudzianowski. Marius Pudzianowski, or as most fans call him, Pudzian, the human freight train from Poland. Born in 1977, this guy didn't just enter the strongman scene, he took it hostage. At 6 feet 1 inch and tipping the scales at 320 pounds during his peak, Marius was the perfect combination of muscle and mayhem. He wasn't just big, he was built to destroy events. He took home the world's strongest man title 5 times, more than anyone else in history. But numbers barely scratch the surface. His performances were explosive. He once lifted 5 massive Atlas stones in under 17 seconds, each one weighing hundreds of pounds. That's not strength, that's dominance. And after owning the strongman world, he jumped into MMA because apparently tossing boulders wasn't hard enough. Punches started flying, and guess what? He started winning there too. Marius didn't just set the bar, he carried it up a hill and dared others to follow. Number 14, Alexander Karelin. When a man's strength makes seasoned athletes question physics, you know he's not ordinary. Nicknamed the Russian Bear and the Experiment, Karelin wasn't just a wrestler, he was a phenomenon. Born in the harsh cold of Siberia in 1967, weighing a jaw-dropping 15 pounds, Karelin grew up to become one of the most dominant forces in Greco-Roman wrestling history. At 6 feet 4 inches and nearly 290 pounds, his presence alone could shake opponents. His infamous Karelin lift involved hoisting 300-pound men, flat on the mat, into the air and slamming them down like rag dolls. His athleticism defied logic. He won 3 Olympic golds and a silver, went undefeated for 13 years, and wasn't scored on for an entire decade. Even his coach doubted him at first, but Karelin's brutal training and refusal to break paid off. He was built in ice and carved in iron. Some said he wasn't natural, like strength like his had to be engineered. Number 13, Zydrunas Savickas. Known to the world as Big Z, this Lithuanian titan is regarded by many as the greatest strongman to ever walk the earth. It started in 1989 when he saw a strongman competition on TV. Just 3 years later, he entered that very same contest and beat seasoned veterans. From that moment on, Zydrunas never looked back. He won Lithuania's strongest man 17 times, the world's strongest man 4 times, and dominated the Arnold Strongman Classic 8 times, a record. His log lift, 500 pounds. His deadlift, 1,155 pounds, done like it was routine. Even a brutal injury in 2001, tearing both patellar tendons, couldn't stop him. Less than a year later, he was back, breaking records. With 84 international wins, 153 career contests, and over 70 world records, Zydrunas became a living blueprint for strength, endurance, and comeback spirit. He didn't just compete with strongmen, he outlasted generations of them. Number 12, Brian Shaw. Brian Shaw isn't just tall, he's monumental. Born in Colorado in 1982, Brian stands 6 feet 8 inches and, during peak competition seasons, tips the scales at 440 pounds. But his size is just the surface. Behind it is a man who's mastered the art of strength with calm confidence. He's a 4-time World's Strongest Man champion, claiming victories in 2011, 2013, 2015, and 2016, and also a 3-time Arnold Strongman Classic winner. These weren't lucky wins. They were dominant performances backed by technical precision and relentless drive. One of his standout moments came in 2013 when he completed a 975-pound squat in competition, done with focus, not flair. Brian blends brute force with athletic finesse, never chasing spectacle, just results. What separates him is his mindset: humble, methodical, and quietly intense. While some strongmen roar for the crowd, Brian simply shows up, lifts the unimaginable, and walks away like it was routine. Number 11. Magnus Ver Magnusson. Iceland's gift to the world of strength wasn't born in a castle, but on a quiet farm, where tossing hay bales turned into lifting logs and chores became training. Born in 1963, Magnus stood at 6 feet 1 inch and 286 pounds during his prime. He wasn't just strong, he was terrifyingly consistent. Magnus won World's Strongest Man 4 times, 1991, 1994, 1995, and 1996, and matched his idol John Paul's record. While many thought he lacked the mass to dominate, he proved them wrong by crushing static lifts and showing unmatched speed and endurance. From flipping cars to deadlifting over 1,150 pounds, Magnus became a standard for versatility. He also won contests across Scandinavia and Europe, proving his grip on strength wasn't just luck, it was legacy. Even after retiring internationally, he continued dominating Iceland's strongest man until 2004. With each win, he didn't just lift weight, he lifted Iceland's reputation in the world of giants. Number 10. Mark Henry. Few men live up to the title World's Strongest Man, but Mark owned it, across platforms, decades, and industries. Born in 1971, he stood 6 feet 4 inches and weighed over 400 pounds in his prime. A child obsessed with wrestling, Mark had a life-changing encounter with Andre the Giant, and from that moment, he was hooked on strength. He broke onto the world stage at the 1992 Olympics, representing the U.S. in weightlifting. 3 years later, he swept the Pan American Games with gold, silver, and bronze. But that was just Act 1. WWE soon came calling, and Mark bulldozed his way through legends like The Undertaker, Big Show, and Shawn Michaels. His raw powerlifting record? Set without support suits, it still makes jaws drop. But what defined Mark wasn't just his records, it was how easily he made superstars look like rookies. He didn't need to act strong, he just was. Strength was simply his nature. All right, now, let's head over to number 9, Eddie Hall. This beast wasn't born with limits, he was born to break them. Hailing from Stoke-on-Trent, England, Eddie stood 6 feet 3 inches and weighed over 410 pounds during his strongman career. His greatest claim to fame? The first man to ever deadlift 1,102 pounds, a moment that left him bleeding from his nose and near unconscious, but still standing. That lift wasn't just strength, it was an obsession, crafted through brutal training and an almost unhealthy drive to outdo what others thought was impossible. He won World's Strongest Man in 2017, and though he later stepped back from strongman, his impact never left. Eddie didn't just chase records, he rewrote them. His story is one of extremes, pushing his body past sanity, crushing personal barriers, and refusing to quit until the number said, world record. There are strongmen. And then there's Eddie Hall, who lifted the line of human capability and then stepped right over it. Number 8. Hafthor Bjornsson. You probably know him as the Mountain from Game of Thrones, but in real life, he made that nickname look like an understatement. And we're not promoting, it's truth. Born in 1988 in Iceland, Hafthor towered at 6 feet 9 inches and weighed over 425 pounds, and yet moved like a man half his size. His strongman resume reads like a highlight reel. World's Strongest Man in 2018, multiple Europe's Strongest Man titles, and national dominance in Iceland year after year. But the lift that broke the world? In 2020, Hafthor deadlifted 1,104 pounds, setting a new world record that stunned everyone watching. No straps, no nonsense, just pure explosive power. But it wasn't just about records. Hafthor brought intensity and control into every competition. He didn't just lift, he performed. He's one of the rare few who blurred the line between real-world strength and cinematic legend. He wasn't playing the mountain, he was the mountain. Number 7. Jouko Ahola. Jouko came from the icy heart of Finland, but he carried the heat of a man on a mission. Born in 1970, Jouko didn't fit the typical strongman mold. Standing 6 feet 1 inch and weighing around 270 pounds, he was leaner than many of his competitors, but far from weaker. He won World's Strongest Man twice, in 1997 and 1999, and shattered the myth that size always wins. Jouko wasn't just strong, he was agile, fast, and dangerous in every event. In 1999, he dominated the Atlas Stones, lifting 5 massive stones onto platforms with a speed and technique that made crowds erupt. He moved like a sprinter and lifted like a tank. His background in powerlifting gave him control, and his Finnish grit gave him staying power. Jouko didn't intimidate with mass. He dominated with motion, timing, and control. He proved that sometimes the most lethal strength isn't loud, it's precise. Number 6. Franco Columbu. Now, here's a man who defied the rules of size and strength. Hailing from Sardinia, Italy, Franco stood at just 5 feet 5 inches, but carried the intensity of a man twice his size. A beast in bodybuilding and a 2-time Mr. Olympia, Franco didn't just build muscle, he weaponized it like Thanos. He trained and competed alongside Arnold Schwarzenegger, and the two pushed each other through workouts that would ruin most men. Franco wasn't just about looks either. He was a legitimate strongman. In the 1977 World's Strongest Man contest, he stunned the crowd by inflating a hot water bottle until it exploded, just with his lungs. And that was light work. He also deadlifted cars, carried refrigerators like backpacks, and kept coming back for more. Franco wasn't flashy, he was fierce. Whether in the gym, on a movie set, or on the competition floor, he brought that unstoppable energy. A compact juggernaut with no quit. All right now, let's move to number 5. Vasyl Virastyuk. Vasyl didn't just compete, he came to rewrite expectations. Born in Ukraine in 1974, Vasyl stood 6 feet 3 inches and weighed around 375 pounds during his peak. He became the first man to win both the World's Strongest Man, 2004, and IFSA World Championship, an achievement no one else had pulled off. He brought raw power into every event, but stood out for his ability to move heavy weight with speed and precision. In 2004, his performance in the Atlas Stones left no doubt. He had strength, yes, but he had balance, timing, and rhythm too. He didn't just move those stones, he launched them onto platforms like it was clockwork. Vasyl was a technician in a bruiser's body. His wins weren't accidental. They were built through consistency and mental toughness. In a sport where bulk is worshipped, Vasyl added brains to brawn and built a career out of calm destruction. Number 4. Hercules. Whether you see him as a myth, a legend, or a man-god, one thing is 100% clear. No name has carried more weight across history. Son of Zeus and a mortal woman, Hercules wasn't born into peace. From the moment he entered the world, he was tested, tormented, and tasked with doing the impossible. His 12 labors weren't challenges, they were punishments, and yet he crushed them. He choked the Nemean lion with bare hands, cleaned the Augean stables by rerouting 2 rivers, and dragged the 3-headed hellhound Cerberus out of the underworld itself. Hercules didn't rely on magic or weapons. He relied on strength, sheer will, and endless endurance. Betrayed, hated, and haunted, He never stopped pushing forward. And when he died, the gods made room for him on Olympus, not as a guest, but as one of their own. Hercules wasn't just strong, he was the original blueprint of power, tragedy, and raw resilience. Number 3, Louis Cyr. The name sounds like folklore, but the feats were very real. Born in 1863 in Quebec, Canada, Louis wasn't a showman, he was a one-man wrecking crew. Standing 5 feet 10 inches and weighing over 300 pounds, he was built like a slab of granite. One of his most jaw-dropping feats? Well, you won't believe it, but this guy lifted a wooden platform stacked with 18 full-grown men, totaling over 4,000 pounds, right onto his back. It was never officially measured by today's tech, but thousands witnessed it. That wasn't a legend, it was a spectacle. Cyr also holds one of the heaviest backlifts in history, 4,337 pounds, and pulled a freight car uphill just to prove a point. And let's not forget the time he lifted 500 pounds with one finger. That's not strength, that's sorcery. Cyr's records are so wild that some still argue whether they're real. But those who saw him, they didn't need proof. They saw the impossible done by a man who didn't believe in limits. Number 2, Bill Kazmaier. Bill Kazmaier wasn't just strong, he was purely terrifying. In the 1980s, he was the walking embodiment of brute force. Towering at 6 feet 3 inches and weighing over 330 pounds, Kaz looked like he was carved from the side of a mountain. But he didn't just look powerful, he was power, unfiltered and untamed. Kazmaier won World's Strongest Man 3 years in a row, 1980, 81, and 82, and left a trail of crushed records in his wake. His 661-pound bench press at the 1981 IPF World Championships wasn't just a win, it was a statement. And that was just one part of his 2,425-pound total in powerlifting. Squat, bench, deadlift, he didn't have a weak link. Beyond numbers, what set Kaz apart was his presence. Every time he stepped on the stage, you could feel the tension. Other competitors hoped to survive the event. Kaz came to destroy it. Number 1, Paul Anderson. This guy wasn't just strong, he was the kind of strong that made people stop what they were doing and question reality. Born in 1932 in Georgia, Paul didn't look like your typical muscle machine. He looked like a walking vault, solid, slow-moving, and absolutely unstoppable. In the 1950s, while most athletes were just warming up with barbells, Paul was out here back lifting over 6,270 pounds, which is roughly 3 full-sized cars stacked on his spine. But Paul wasn't chasing trophies. Sure, he took home the world weightlifting title and even an Olympic gold. But what set him apart was that he used his fame to build something lasting, a youth home for troubled kids, using his strength to actually lift people up. His feats are etched in the Guinness Book of World Records, but his real legacy isn't the weight he moved, it's the lives he changed with it. If you enjoyed watching this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more awesome content like this. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon in the next one.